Angelique knows she's lucky to be alive, held captive for years by an abusive boyfriend and forced to sign an obedience contract until an unexpected hero saved her.
It takes incredible courage to tell your story when it's as horrible as what Angelique endured. But this brave young woman is a survivor, and her courage will inspire you.
What do the words domestic violence mean to you now?
It's not right to do it to anybody, and nobody should ever have to go through it.
Delete it. Delete it.
Thomas Jennings doesn't want you to see his face for good reason. He was the one person who was supposed to protect Angelique, but instead he spent years torturing her, making her feel worthless and at times fearing for her life.
What were Thomas Jennings' rules? What were his rules?
Obey by me or get hurt.
Tonight, how this caged woman escaped evil and the unlikely hero who came to her aid.
Not many people can go through hell and come out the other end smiling, so.
When Thomas Jennings chose his victim, he didn't choose just any woman. It was the most vulnerable one. More than being merely quiet and submissive, Angelique had nobody to support her. Hardly any family or friends. In fact, not a single person who cared enough to check on her for 3 years. It started when Angelique was just 16 years old. Now only 22, she has an intellectual disability. She can't read or write, but she fully understands what happened to her inside this Ballarat cottage was wrong and wants everyone to know the man responsible is back walking the streets.
I wouldn't want it to happen to anyone else, so people need to be warned to stay away.
Thomas Jennings is an unemployed, convicted criminal with no regard for anyone else. Angelique met Thomas at a party in 2016. They started dating and she moved in with him.
Forced me to sign a master and submissive contract, which they used to do in the olden days, and they banned it in these days because it's illegal now.
When he first said that you needed to sign a contract, what did you think?
I thought it was just something to do with the lease or the house or something. And after I signed it, he let me read it after I signed it and said, well, now I'm your master and you're the submissive, which means you're my slave.
The start of relentless, sickening and heartbreaking daily abuse.
He'd stand above the shower, pour chili on me, or chili powder, and ruin my shower, make me get out of the shower and stay in that state. He locked me in the dog cage and left me there for as long as he wanted, until he said I could come out. He put the dog collar around my neck and the dog lead and made me crawl on all fours.
It's hard to hear, even harder to imagine.
He made me believe that everything he was doing was right and that I deserved every bit of it.
And you survived all this. What made you keep going?
I just thought to myself, if I keep pushing myself, I'll get stronger, and by the time I'd be strong enough, hopefully there would be a way out.
And how long did this go on for?
It went on for about 3 years straight.
Every day?
Because his mates were always there.
Until one new mate turned against evil. Not long after meeting Angelique, Chris Bourne decided enough was enough.
He would deny her basic human rights like food, water, the ability to have any communication with family or friends. He was just a monster. She was so small, malnourished, she was not clothed half the time properly, and she'd just be hiding in a corner waiting to be beaten.
Chris says Jennings thrived on attention.
And the only way he could do that was by mistreating a woman.
What was the worst thing you saw him do to Angelique?
He attempted to have his dog attack her, just went into full attack mode, and he had every intent to release the dog on her.
Did you intervene?
Yes.
What did you do?
He had a machete on his coffee table, and I picked it up and I said, if you release the dog, as much as I love dogs, I'll kill it. And he didn't release the dog.
Do you remember Angelique's face at that moment?
Yeah, she was petrified. To me, this was new, but to her, this was just, she knew what the outcome would be because she'd been through this numerous times already.
Behind closed doors, Thomas continued to torture Angelique, at times within an inch of her life.
And then he smacked me on the bed, choked me, trying to kill me. Told his mum to go and get plastic and put it on her boob.
Just take a breath. Take your time.
Wanted to put me in the boot and take me out to the bush and bury me alive.
This man's a monster. Absolute monster.
As Angelique's health deteriorated, Chris went to the police.
They weren't really able to do a hell of a lot because they needed evidence or her to make a statement at least. Yeah, unfortunately, I just got the reaction that, sorry, our hands are tied.
He refused to give up and hatched his own plan to rescue Angelique, starting with a $15 online purchase.
You put a SIM card in it and basically it will, if you press the SOS button, it'll call whatever phone's linked to that SIM card.
So you linked it to your phone?
Yeah, I linked it to my phone.
Chris smuggled it to Angelique and promised to do his best to get her out.
A lot of the conversations that me and Angelique had about getting her out had to be done in sparing minutes.
Finally, Angelique felt a glimmer of hope for any sort of future.
He told me that he was working with the police to get me out.
As risky as it was, one day, Angelique pushed the button.
I just didn't really think, I just jumped in my car. Walked up to the door, knocked on the door and asked if I could come in and hang out for a while, and with the intent of obviously making sure the situation was safe.
And you knew that day that that was it? You had to get her out?
Yeah. She was clearly more distraught than normal, and yeah, that was it.
Chris convinced Thomas Angelique was wanted by police for questioning over one of his firearms he'd previously told officers was hers. Thomas bought the lie and unknowingly set his victim free.
At this stage, Thomas thought I was still his friend, which quite obviously I was not. We got Angelique into the police station, and that's when the police informed her, look, you're not here in regards to the firearm. We know it's not yours. You're here because we want a statement from you in regards to Thomas and what he's done to you.
Angelique was safe.
They took photos of all my bruises and scars and all the marks on my body. They put the blanket around me and gave me Milo. Then they did a statement with me to get him charged and put away. I basically owe my whole friendship and life to him. I've been all right.
Absolutely. Do you hate to think if he didn't come along and make such an effort to save you, where you would be today?
I would be in a grave if he didn't come along.
Thomas was charged with more than 20 offences, but made a deal to plead guilty to 11 and have the rest dropped. He was jailed for false imprisonment, assault with weapon, and willfully urged dog to bite, among others.
I was disgusted. She went through 3 years of torture and he got a lighter sentence than what she did. And she has to deal with that for the rest of her life.
So, has jail changed Thomas Jennings? You're told once a person does their time, they've paid their debt and, with any luck, have been rehabilitated. Jennings served his full 2 years and 8 month sentence. Authorities never granted him parole.
Get away!
Under the disguise of a very different hairstyle, purposely grown so people won't recognise him, gutless Thomas hides in the back of his car,
Thomas.
leaving his sister to front the cameras.
He threatened to bury her alive.
He did not!
Still hiding in the back seat, Thomas denies it's him.
Thomas.
They all deny to either be or know Thomas.
Here's the ID, here's
So desperate not to be exposed, Thomas tries everything to hide his face.
Delete it. Delete it. Let me speak for Thomas. Let me speak for Thomas.
What's your understanding of the abuse?
What was that?
What's your understanding of what Thomas committed?
Well, my understanding is Thomas has done nothing wrong.
As a woman, you can't stand here and say that he is an innocent man.
Do you know how many people in the community aren't innocent?
I can imagine.
Or ones that don't even have licences and drive around with them and get away with it?
Just as our cameras capture Thomas driving a car without any number plates. In a desperate move to deflect from his crimes, Thomas sent us these sickening videos showing he wasn't the only one to abuse Angelique. The suffering Angelique endured wasn't just back then. It goes on. She finds it hard to trust.
You won't ever let that be your life again, will you?
She honestly believed that she was going to die, and now she's living a happy, social, active life, so...
You proud of her?
Definitely.
Remembering she's still only 22, Angelique wants to own her story and grow from it, and hopes bravely speaking out will inspire other victims of domestic violence to do the same.
I know it's going to always be playing on my mind somewhere or sitting in my heart, but obviously now's the time for me to be happy, so I should be able to deserve happiness.
She certainly does. Angelique is getting married in a couple of weeks and we wish her that happiness. And if you or someone close to you is a victim of domestic violence, there is help. Call 1-800-RESPECT. That's 1-800-737-732.